Let's go down to Tom and Brent.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to kick off this exciting game, and a big shout out to the Flagler Voice Podcast Studio for producing this show.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to the Chang Gang Sports Podcast. Want to appreciate everybody for coming back and joining us. Here to talk about Week 17 in the NFL. What did you think, buddy? Saturday's games were pretty...
It was a pretty wild weekend.
Definitely a wild weekend.
Yeah, really wild. I think I think everything is starting to become a little clearer now with the...
Yeah, but clearer in what way? You know, that's the crazy part. Clearer in what way? Because I can tell you this, you know, the DK Metcalf loss for Pittsburgh was huge. You know, the Rams losing to Atlanta, you know, it's just a crazy week. And it just shows you it is wide open.
Wide open. You know, just a few weeks ago, I thought I had a good pulse on the NFL, especially like the NFC. I thought for sure the Rams were my number one seed, Super Bowl favorites. Now everyone's thinking maybe the 49ers. Wow, that Sunday night game was against Chicago was a huge win for San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, we'll start off with Saturday. I mean, we'll go with Saturday and we'll work our way through. But, you know, Saturday's game, Houston showed right there that I would not want to play Houston in the first round.
No way. And you know what? We spoke about this last week. We said Houston has the number one defense in the NFL, and that's going to be extremely tough first round playoff game. And you know, right now that Houston would be slated to go to the winner of the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. And I'll tell you what, Houston, you know, just a few weeks ago, you know, they were hovering, you know, maybe at the 8-9 seed or the 7-8 seed. And now, you know, huge win on Saturday.
C.J. Stroud looked like the C.J. Stroud of the rookie year. You know, he's playing well. He's not turning the ball over as much as he was in the early part of the season. Their defense. I mean, let's talk about Will Anderson Jr. and Daniel Hunter on the other side. Those two bookends, they're scary.
They're very scary.
And they make everybody that the defense, but they make everybody so good because they really come up. So they go upfield. They force everything inside, and 8 men in the box, and they make it difficult.
They do. I remember Will Anderson in college playing for Alabama, and that's exactly. He's living up to that hype now. I mean,
who's that? Will Anderson. Oh, yeah. No, I agree.
He's a game changer. I still remember the national championship game against Georgia a few years back, and I'll tell you what, everyone kept saying if C.J. Stroud can just not turn the ball over, you know, he had a phenomenal rookie year, and Houston, like they said, man, the defense is good enough to win a Super Bowl. They're quietly sitting there right now at the 5 seed, and they're gonna.
I wouldn't want to play.
I would not want to play Houston either.
No, and the Chargers, Chargers went into that game. You saw what they did to Dallas. You know, the Chargers were a week before. You know, they came and they played. I mean, Herbert looked amazing. You know, Herbert actually led the team in rushing. I mean, Omari and Hampton, what happened? I mean, it was, I'll tell you what happened. Houston's defense is what happened.
Yeah, that's what, you know, it's funny. Like you just said, they played the Cowboys. We're thinking, wow, Chargers, looks like a Super Bowl team. And then now, this is why the NFL is so unpredictable. And it just goes to show that this year is so wide open. Now.
No question. I mean, because every time you think, like you said, when we jump on board of somebody that we think is going to be the team that's going to represent each conference, and something happens where it's not that way anymore. You know, Seattle, I think they went in and they answered questions. But, you know, first we'll talk about, before we get over to that, we'll talk about the Saturday afternoon game, which was Packers and Ravens. And you know what? When you're missing a Lamar Jackson, you give him a tour. And I don't understand why they didn't, or why you would ever get away from. But if you have a running game and you have a running back like Derrick Henry, and you have to give somebody, he has to touch that ball 25 times a game because he's built for it, too.
Yeah.
I mean, as big as he is and as everything, he takes care of his body. He is a man among boys when it comes to the running back. And I mean, 36 carries, 210 yards, 220 or 216.
216, yeah.
And 4 touchdowns. I mean, in the red zone, he's a red zone monster.
Yes.
And Tyler Huntley, You just ask him to do one thing. Give the ball to Derrick Henry and stay. And he play. I shouldn't say that. He spread the ball around. Zay Flowers. They listen. All the talk when Lamar Jackson went down, they're done. But DK Metcalf throws the punch around the world.
Yeah,
and now here we go. Ravens and Steelers on next week is for the conference
for all the marbles.
All the marbles.
And you're right. Baltimore, absolutely. What did they do good? They run the ball. And you know what? I believe Lamar Jackson will be back healthy for that game against Baltimore. And you know what? Pittsburgh. They didn't do themselves any favors, and now the last game of the season, Week 18, it's going to be Baltimore, Pittsburgh for the AFC North.
Yeah,
and you're absolutely right. Derrick Henry, he runs for 216 yards, has a monster game. This is the Baltimore that everyone was talking about.
Right. They still don't stop anybody. They're still defensively. I mean, because the leading rusher for the Packers was Willis.
Willis. Okay.
Yeah. No Josh Jacobs. So and I think Green Bay going to the other side of the ball on that. Green Bay is. I don't think Green Bay. If Love is in concussion protocol. He's keeping him on the field is a big deal. Josh Jacobs not there. I mean, that's without those two guys,
that's
and then
huge.
Micah Parsons on the other side. I'm not fearing the Packers at all. I'm not feeling them.
And you hit it right on the head right there. Yeah, Michael Parsons, man, what a huge loss. When you talk about a franchise type defensive player, he's the number one defensive player in the league. It was already bad enough him getting hurt. Then Jordan Love is sidelined right now. You know what? I just feel like Green Bay they hit the injury bug at the worst time of the season now. So.
And I just don't see them. I don't see them making a mark or a splash in the playoffs. I can tell you this. Sunday night's game. Going to Sunday's games. The Sunday night game. The Bears and the 49ers. That was a good game. That was a good game. Caleb Williams. What did Caleb Williams? He finished with 25 of 42, 332 TDs. That's a good game. That's a monster game.
Awesome game.
Yeah, and Purdy. But look at Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's back to playing like Brock Purdy, and they did it without George Kittle.
That's right.
McCaffrey had 140 yards rushing. He had another 60 yards receiving, another 200-yard game. Pearsall, 5 catches, 85 yards. I mean, 49ers are legit.
Absolutely. 49ers are starting to peak right now, and everyone looks back like the 2011 New York Giants. They were hovering around 7-7, and then they finished the year, I believe, 9-7 in 2007, and I believe they finished the year 10-6 in 2011. They just got hot at the right time, and they went on to win the Super Bowl with Eli. Beat the New England Patriots, both of those Super Bowls. But yeah, like you said, 49ers just looked like a well-balanced team right now. And, Fred Warner going down and Bosa, and you just got to scratch your head and think, wow, how good would this team be if they had two of those players still playing?
Robert Saleh, listen, like I said last week, the Jets giving up on Saleh and letting him get away, and he goes back to Kyle Shanahan, makes him D coordinator again, and he goes out and he puts the puzzle together.
Yeah.
I mean, he makes it happen, puts the pieces together. If you get to, I'm laughing because I was just thinking about Mr. D and Jen Carter and Jody that are all such Steeler fans, and I saw Mr. D this morning, and I feel bad for him because of the Steelers. Taking it on the chin. So
the Steelers. I'll tell you what. They may get into the playoffs. It's all going to come down to that.
Comes down to Sunday.
I'll be honest with you, though. I don't have too much confidence in them going to the playoffs, though. I'm sorry, Steeler Nation. They just don't.
Yeah,
look
the terrible
that
towel
good.
should be packed up, and I think that's it. I think the Ravens. I'd rather see a guy like Derrick Henry, and Lamar Jackson, because that could be scary. So,
if Pittsburgh does end up beating Baltimore on Sunday, they're going to have to host the number one defense in the all of NFL. They're going to have to host Houston. The way that they struggled on Sunday, they're going to have to play a defense that's head and shoulders.
Chance.
I don't see them going.
Well, DK, they'd have him back, but I mean, I don't know. But all right, so Seattle, Carolina, Seattle 13-3, makes the game with San Francisco this coming weekend. That's a winner take all too, because San Francisco owns the tiebreaker. So if San Francisco beats Seattle at home,
wow, yeah,
they turn around, and Seattle definitely came in. But again, we are talking the Carolina Panthers. We are talking about and we'll get to the Tampa Bay in a minute, because that was horrible.
Implode.
Yeah, big time implode. And going back to Seattle, they're 13-3, and that's impressive. But and they went into Carolina. They took care of business. They did what they needed to do. I mean, let's face that. They did what they needed to do. You had to go in there. They had to go into a team that game meant a lot to Carolina as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Seattle. They stifled them. What was 27-10 or something?
Yeah, Seattle. I feel like Seattle. They did what they had to do, because if they lose, and so what that does, that sets them up next week for the game against the 49ers next week is for the number 1 seed in the NFC. It's for home field advantage throughout the whole playoffs. The loser of that game will, by default, be the number 5 seed. So it's a difference of having a first-round bye and having a week off, rest your players, or having to go on the road for your first playoff game and probably you're going to go to Carolina. And I know that they probably are better than Carolina, but you would still rather have the advantage of having a bye week, rest your players. So yeah, this last game coming up, Seattle 49ers is going to be huge. And I feel like the 49ers had a huge win against the Bears, because that just kept them right there in contention for the number 1 overall seed.
Yeah. And going back to Carolina, because I think Carolina is going to win that division by default. I mean, I've never seen a team, I think this has happened once before, and to back into the playoffs. But I mean, they have to beat Tampa, which isn't as tall of an order as I think it once was. But they're 8-8, and but Bryce Young. Well, I think Bryce Young was 14-24 for 54 yards, 54 yards and an interception. Talk about a bad time to have a bad game.
A horrible game.
I can imagine what that rating is. But, they get a little bit of Dowdell. But, I mean, hey, listen, Seattle's defense is good. It's back end Seattle. I told you, we talked about it 2 weeks ago and last week. Seattle's back end is tough.
Yeah.
They got a good front line, so they make things difficult for people. There's no question.
Kind of reminded me that Seattle seems to have like that, that Legion of Boom back again,
Yeah.
Kind of nostalgic.
With young talent.
Very young talent. Absolutely. And you know what? I'm looking, the AFC, it's wide open. The AFC is probably a little bit more wide open. The only team I would say in the AFC that I don't really hold out too much hope for would probably be whoever wins that division, the AFC North, whether it's not as Baltimore or Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But you got 100%. From Denver, New England, Jacksonville, Houston, like we mentioned, number 1 defense, Buffalo, and how would you like to sit there? And if you're New England, you're gonna have to host the Los Angeles Chargers in the first round. That's incredible.
And again, let's talk about, we talked about it last week, and New England has had the weakest schedule. Their wins are not impressive. I mean, thank you, New York Jets, for showing me exactly what the organization is, and how I'm still even wear a Jet jersey is beyond me, because they are so bad. I mean, it was 35-0 in the first half, I believe. I think, what was the final? 42-10 and 42-10.
42-10, that's right.
And Drake May had 5 touchdowns. He looked like, Joe Montana back there. I mean, and the Jets make everybody look like Joe Montana. And the organization is brutal. And I'm trying to root for Aaron Glenn, but I mean,
me too.
Let's face it. The great thing is we're the 3rd pick in the draft. That's right. The only thing that came out of it. And with the Raiders, the number 1 pick in the draft, Raiders, somebody said that because they locked up long term with what's his name, a quarterback, that they're not going to go for a quarterback. Now, I want the Mendoza to be a Jet. I mean, but that remains to be seen with the Raiders at number 1.
It's funny he's talking about the number 1. It's just a little side note. Like in the beginning of the year, Garrett Nussberger from LSU and
Klubik from Clemson.
They're supposed to be the number 1,
non-existent.
Number 2 picks. Yeah, you don't even hear about them. I think Clemson finished the year 7-6. They just fired their OC. But yeah, now it's Mendoza and possibly Julian Sayin out of Ohio State. May Ty Simpson or John Mateer out of Oklahoma. So.
Now, John Mateer is good, and the kid that the one with the cocky trash talking Wake Forest, Pena,
Pavia, Vandy,
yeah.
He was in the Heisman contention. I don't know if he'll be an NFL quarterback. We'll see.
Well, he thinks he's the best player in the job. He said he should have won the Heisman. This guy came out and flat out said he should have won the Heisman.
He reminds me a little bit of Johnny Manziel with like the personality,
but with a little more bulk.
Yeah,
he's a bigger guy.
Bulk, yeah.
So the Jets, Jaguars and Colts. Old man Rivers again. I mean, the Jaguars, I think they had 4 field goals. I think that, the Jaguars, one thing they do have is a kicker that can bang that ball. I mean,
Cam Little, baby.
Yeah, he's got a 70-yarder, a 73-yarder.
He makes 55-yard field goals look like extra points. Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's scary. The 60-yard field goal, which was a record forever, is now, that's like you say, it's a chip shot. But I mean, the Jaguars played well. Their defense played really well. Jonathan Taylor was held to under 100 yards, and Rivers had an okay game. But I mean, and I understand it is Phillip Rivers, but your defense still has to play, show up, and it was on the road, division rivalry. It had all the makings of a potential upset, just like last night. And so I mean, that's again, like you said, the AFC. The Patriots holding a great record, but man, and who do they play next week? They play the Dolphins. The Dolphins, who I thought were, they benched Tua, they got some kid in there, and when is that? They go and they thump Tampa.
That makes no sense to me. That the one game Tampa Bay had to have, and they even had Mike Evans come back. They had the running back come back off of the IR. I don't get Tampa Bay. I don't understand what's going on with Tampa Bay.
Right. Yeah. I don't understand what happened with Tampa Bay either. How that even happened is beyond me. My computer went on. Sorry. Yeah, it was bad. All of a sudden decided to stop playing the game. It was so struggled, but it was so distraught about Tampa that it decided to show highlights of it.
I'll tell you what. One more quick note about Jaguars. Jacksonville, is having such a great year, and I know Duval is super excited about this team, but as good as a season that they had, it's looking like they're going to have to host Buffalo in the first round of the wild card playoffs. And you know what? I like Jacksonville. I feel like Trevor Lawrence is having a great year. ETN, running back out of Clemson, his college roommate at Clemson, they look good, but I just don't know if they're ready to take on Buffalo and the reigning MVP Josh Allen. Especially after what Buffalo they kind of squandered that game a little bit. Yeah. The Josh Allen had that 2-point conversion, but talk about the missed extra point, which actually made them have to. But it just not a good game for Buffalo. I know their defense did hold Philadelphia to only 13 points, but some of that was kind of Philadelphia not.
Well, Jalen Carter came back. He and he makes a difference. He's a beast. He's a monster. I think what is that sack late in the game, which had Buffalo took him out of field goal range, and then they went for it and missed on the 4th down. So he made a difference. And Philadelphia, you never know which team you're going to get. That's what my opinion is. They come out and they can beat you, and they get Hurts and Barkley and everybody rolling, and then all of a sudden, it's, then they lose a game they shouldn't. But again, that's been the whole year for every team. Everybody.
The difference between, in my opinion, from this Philadelphia team that went on to win the Super Bowl last year, their defense was lights out last year, unbelievable. But their offense was just, Saquon Barkley. 2,000 plus yards. This year, I know Saquon Barkley, I think he's averaging only 3.7 yards a carry. And Jalen Hurts, he's not.
He doesn't look. His whole body language is off. Isn't it?
Just doesn't seem like. I don't know if it's that that
Super Bowl hangover.
I think maybe that's what it is. The defense. Thank God their defense is playing lights out, because their offense is only scoring 13 points last game. The week before, I think 6. They just don't quite have it right now. But we'll see. I just don't think that they're good enough.
No, I agree.
Now.
But you know what? Going back to the Buccaneers game, Baker Mayfield threw for 348 yards, and and to only put up 17 points. The thing that surprised me was Miami is not, the greatest team, that's for sure. But they turned around and they held Bucky Irving to 19 yards. They held the Buccaneers to under 100 yards rushing. And Buccaneers usually have, a good dose of Baker will get you 30. Bucky Irving will get you 75. Rashad White. I mean, I don't know. I think they're a total disappointment. And 7-9. You know what? I think even if they beat Carolina, that I think they were mathematically eliminated.
I think you're right. I think Carolina has got,
no matter what, will get it, win or lose.
Yeah,
because they'll have the same record, but Carolina wins the tiebreaker.
Even if I did hear, I was watching ESPN. They said even if Tampa Bay were to go on to beat Carolina, if the Falcons go on to beat the Saints, they can eliminate them regardless. So the Buccaneers have so much going against them right now. It's going to be damn near impossible for them to even make the playoffs. So I would say definitely a disappointing season. I mean, at one point, I think Tampa Bay was 6-2 at one point, and it looked at like a 94% chance of making the playoffs. Yeah, they kind of collapsed, kind of like, I wouldn't say they collapsed as bad as Indianapolis did, but God, I remember about 2 months ago, Indianapolis was sitting at 7-1. No, I'm sorry, they were 8-2.
They were this year, you're talking about.
Yeah, this year, 8-2.
First time ever that a team that started out 8-2 is going to not possibly missing the playoffs. It's only happened once before, and I understand injuries happen. The crazy thing is Anthony Richardson, the next coming
number 3 overall pick out of Florida.
He was going to be the guy, and he has a freak accident, breaks his orbital bone, has to have surgery, and then it was the year before that, it was his neck, and the year, it's just it's a shame. And then Danny Dimes turns around, and now he's Indiana Jones, and then he turns around and goes down with an Achilles, and I feel bad because he was having a great year.
I think that just goes to show, just like you said, Tom, how valuable Danny Jones was to this team. Everyone said, you know what, if he goes down, that's okay. They'll still lean on Jonathan Taylor. Without Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor's kind of disappeared. He was leading the league in rushing, and
RPO. That's all I could say. 3 letters. RPO, run pass option. I mean, that's you have to be able to play action is set up by the run, and if you can't run the ball, I mean, granted, there's guys out there like Stafford and stuff that can throw the ball no matter what. But again, the Rams too. They have a good running game. I mean, last night watching Atlanta, with a good offensive line, Bijan Robinson, has 200 and something. He's a heck of a back.
Yeah, I think he's like one of the premier backs in all of the NFL, if not the number one. He's certainly in the top 3, right there with Gibbs and a couple others. But
Cook,
monster year. I
mean, what? That just shows you Philly played that good. Philly played that good. They really did. There's no question that Philly is. Do you want to play Philly? I know I don't.
Absolutely not. And that this is what it's setting up right now. It's looking like, it's going to very well be like Green Bay going to Chicago in the first round of the playoffs, and the Rams are going to go play Philadelphia. Looking at it like this. San Francisco and the Seahawks play. That is number 1 overall seed. Division, everything's on the line. But the loser of that game. Not to say that it's good to lose, but the loser of that game is going to end up playing the Carolina Panthers. So it's not the worst thing in the world. That's why that loss by the Rams last night is going to come back, I think, to haunt them, because the Rams went from the 5 seed to the 6 seed, and you might not think that's a big deal, but it's a difference of going to play Carolina or you're going to go travel to Philadelphia in the first round. And if you ask me, I'd much rather play Carolina in the first round than the Eagles.
Oh yeah, no question. I mean, that's a no-brainer. All right, well, let's change it up. We'll talk more NFL on Friday's show, but let's talk college football tomorrow. Miami, Ohio State. I mean, this is the day we get to see what Miami's made out of. The U, baby, the U.
The U. Everyone's saying the U is back. I mean, I'm glad they made the playoffs. I'm happy. I still feel like Notre Dame and Miami should have been in the playoffs.
Oh, I agree.
It's a whole nother conversation. I still don't think James Madison And Tulane should have ever been there in the first place because they are not ranked in the top 12 of the college playoff football rankings. But that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, that game on Friday, my take on that game is Miami held Texas A&M to 3 points. All I'll say is this: Ohio State has a much better offense, more balanced than Texas A&M. And on the other side of the ball, Ohio State has the number one defense in all of college football. They're only giving up 8 points a game, just over about 200 yards a game. Not just rushing, I mean total yards. Ohio State has a historic defense right now. They're at the likes of the 2011 Alabama and 2001 Miami Hurricanes. That's how historically good this defense has been. And
well, you know what? And Carson Beck has been there before, so he's no stranger to the big game. Ohio State brings you a tall order. They got some big wide receivers, and that's become wide receiver university.
Oh yeah,
no question about that. And Ohio State can get it done. Ryan Day to me has done. He's in conversations of one of the great coaches in college football, with bar none.
Absolutely.
He ran in that little snafu and beating your boys over in Michigan, but
let's not talk about that.
Not this year anyway. But so I mean, Carson Beck, Miami. I mean, that's going to be a heck of a football game. I truly believe.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ohio State, they're there, and they have the experience. They have the roster, like you said, wide receiver, baby. You can look up and down the NFL right now, from Jackson Smith and Jigma from Seattle to Watson to
Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave
with the Saints.
Buka,
Marvin Harrison out in Arizona. Up and down, it's littered with the round draft picks out of Ohio State. And I'll say their offense is going to put up some points against Miami. That's where I think Miami has some problems with this game. I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball on the Buckeyes.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, then on January 1st, on Thursday, we got Oregon, Texas Tech. I think this is going to be to see what Texas Tech is really made of. Texas Tech is a heck of a football team. But I believe that, when you play in Oregon, and SEC, it's still a little weird to say that. But Oregon, I thought Oregon was a team that was going to be tough to beat to begin with. And they're well coached. They have the package. Both sides of all three levels, all three phases of football.
And Dante Moore's playing great right now. He's playing like the number one overall quarterback when he came out of high school. And he just looks good. And Oregon's offense looks great right now. Dan Lanning's got that offense humming right now. My only concern with Oregon is their defense. They gave up 35 points to James Madison.
Yeah.
And I know it's a playoff game, but it's James Madison. I
agree. I think that's going to be I think that game did not prepare them for anything.
Absolutely not. And if I had any confidence about Oregon going into the playoffs, and especially going up in the second round in the Orange Bowl against Texas Tech,
okay.
I kind of lost it. I think Texas Tech, although they play in the Big 12, and everyone's saying Oregon plays in the Big 10, it's a tougher. I think Texas Tech has the defense to beat Oregon. So we'll see. I know Oregon's favored by 2.5, but I like Tech in that game.
And then we only got 2 minutes left, but we'll quickly, Alabama, Indiana. I believe Indiana wins this game. Indiana's going to win the national championship, because I think SEC, Big Ten, we'll see if it's speed or power is going to win that game. And then to me, Georgia, Ole Miss. I think Georgia walks away with that. I think Ole Miss has got again. They didn't have a big game to play to start, and then the whole Lane Kiffin thing.
This is where I think, the first round against Tulane, not having Lane Kiffin there, no big deal. This is where I think missing their coach comes back to haunt them right here.
I agree.
And I think Georgia's defense is top notch.
Yeah, and I do too. I do too, and I do too. I think Georgia's going to be the team. I think. I still have faith. I still think it's going to be Indiana over Alabama. I just think Alabama's is okay on the defensive side of the football, but we'll see.
We will see. Ty Simpson is peaking right now too, so that's going to be a very interesting game.
It will be, and I think all of them will be. And I hope everybody tunes into us on Friday when we'll talk about all the results from the week, and then we'll talk about and give you our picks picks for next week because we were 2-1. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.